Hi everyone, McBeard here, back with another card reveal video as the Crimson Curse continues to roll out with community reveals. Content creators and other players, streamers, people involved in the community all around the world are starting to reveal cards. We got 3 cards on Friday, including my own. And we also have 3 cards that came in today on Saturday. So let's talk about those cards right now. We're just going to jump right into it. We're here on the card reveal site. If you don't know exactly how to get to this particular page, you do click the Learn More on the Crimson Curse main page for playgwent.com, but I'll put the link in the description just in case you don't know where to find this gallery. But this gallery will go in order of the new cards that we haven't seen yet, and we'll start off here with Primal Savagery, which was revealed by scoia'tael, Polish player and streamer. Check the link. I'm going to put some links right here. For all the players that had chances to reveal, they definitely need your attention because these are people who love Gwent, play Gwent, really are a part of Gwent. The community definitely needs your support. However, this is a Polish player, so if you don't speak Polish, you may not get the same returns on someone that you maybe speak the native language of. But still, scoia'tael player did get this reveal. Primal Savagery, a special card for Skellige. Damage an enemy unit by 2 with a death blow, spawn and summon a bear abomination on a random allied row. We already know that the bear abomination is a 5 strength doomed unit. And this means that this token is looking like it's going to see a fair amount of play in Skellige. So Skellige will be able to generate a lot of beasts. Seems like beasts and bears and evil deeds seems to be the Skellige lore around this time with the Svalbard units. I think this is a pretty strong card. Now, what's not on here is the provision cost, and I need a refresher on that. All right, it's a 5 provision cost card. So for 5 provisions on this special card, which matters in Skellige because Coral is amazing, this pings a unit at 2 and it summons a 5 strength unit. So if you were to take out something like a Drowner or some other threat at 2, there's not a lot of threats at 2, but there's a little bit more to this, of course, than just the fact that it pings 2. Creates 5. It's going to be more than 7 in general. Just think about Croc in general. There's a lot of engines at 3. So if you ping with Croc and then hit this, not only are you taking out the engine, but now you're developing your board. And it's still, unclear exactly if the bear abominations are going to have other effects. The fact that they're bears, werebears, Svalbard cultists, or beasts, or whatever they are, it's not really clear. So the ultimate value of this card could be up in the air. But I do think that with at least thinking about Croc, at least thinking about some pings, or a lot of ways of damaging something to strength, and then finishing them off with this card, and then also developing your board. It doesn't seem bad for 5 in a faction that's kind of already running some throwaway specials. Granted, these throwaway specials are at 4 provisions, Trophy Catch and Spores. So I had to make room for Dimeranium Shackles in my Skellige deck, but of course we're talking about a whole new meta and a whole other world. And I think in general there's going to be enough support to make this card considerable, especially if more cards come out that care about special cards, and if a bunch of cards come out that care about all of the things that the Bear Abomination is. So I think this is going to be just fine, this card. Devil's Puffball. This one was revealed by Trinet, United States player, Trinet123, twitch.tv, Trinet123, plays in the early evening if you're in EST like I am, so I think he starts pretty late. Devil's Puffball. Now, this is an interesting card for a number of reasons. This is a special card that also comes in at 5 provisions that damages a unit by 2 and gives it poison. With a death blow on this one as well, give poison to adjacent units. So this is an important card, as Trinet said in his tweet, because it's the first card that we've seen that deals poison to a number of units. The interesting thing is, at first I thought anything that damages a unit and poisons it is probably bad. But the fact that it has a death blow redeems that sentiment. I think in the future, if we see cards that deal damage and apply poison, it seems like the damage is wasted, but I guess it kind of makes it so they can get you value in a situation where you can't double poison. But that's not what's happening at all in this card. This card is poisoning the unit and damaging it. So if you damage the unit by 2 and kill it, you're giving poison. But if you're poisoning a unit for the second time, you're definitely going to kill it no matter how strong it is, and you're still applying poison to the adjacent targets. Definitely can be played around, just like you can play around lots of cards with adjacency, but I think that this is going to see some play, especially because it seems like scoia'tael is going to get other units that poison, as we saw with the Forest Whisperer earlier in the week. So I think that while this is a neutral card, this is probably going to be a pretty cool scoia'tael special, and who knows, scoia'tael and specials have always been interesting because they do have a lot of cards that care about specials. So in a control environment, you can get a lot of work done, but sometimes there is too much control, and it's possible this card just doesn't really get value if opponent's playing around it. Depends on what the meta is, depends on what the net decks look like. The Flutter, a 5 provision point monster card revealed by the one and only Lord of Monsters, Ocean Mud, Faction Ambassador. Check him out, twitch.tv/OceanMud. Flutter is a very interesting card. It's a vampire, 3 strength, deploy, destroy an allied unit, and gain vitality for 4 turns. So this works, as Ocean Mud tweeted, with Gurnakora, much like the same way a Griffin is good in that deck. You can play the fruit, kill it, you don't care, and you just played potentially, a 7-point unit at 5 provisions, which is damn good. However, we have already seen a card. We've already seen Disgraced Brawler, which can achieve 7 points for 5 provisions under a certain condition. Granted, it is harder to meet the condition on this card, or is it? We don't know. But in this situation, the Flutter is just going to get to work and become a little mini engine for you. This card is probably fantastic in a card that cares about vampires. It's probably fantastic in a card that cares about Death Wish, but just generally Gurnakora. You do have to destroy a unit. So Gurnakora makes the most sense because you otherwise are diminishing some level of value. At least the Cyclops is a 5-point unit that controls. Flutter is not quite that good in that situation. So I feel like out of Gurnakora's range, this card is probably still above average in a lot of cases, but the meta could have Purify in it, and that will affect this card. The meta could have a bunch of resets, although I'm less worried about that because the game's always had that. But Purify is a little different now. Lock's a little different now. I think this card's good because if vampires matter for a lot of different reasons, this card is going to be a higher value than we can just kind of see it in a vacuum. I'm going to show the next card right here because we see the provision cost on the card because we are on Freddy Babe's Twitter. Freddy Babe's the winner of Gwent Open number 7 and the winner of Gwent Challenger number 2, one of the holders of the Sacred Rings, Nilfgaardian Ring, revealed this really cool scoia'tael. I mean, it's a gold card, right? Well, it's interesting. This is appearing as a bronze here, and it actually appears as a bronze on the website as well. But Giant Oak is definitely a gold card, and it also appears as a bronze. So I am certain the epic indicator here is enough, and the fact that she seems very named and quite strong, and 8 provisions, all the things pointing to a gold card. Seems like this was just a graphics mishap here. But anyway, we'll go back to Freddy Babes here. So Freddy Babes tweeted this one out. 8 provision point, 4 strength gold card, Dryad with Harmony. This is Cersa. Deploy, damage an enemy by 2, and Death Blow, boost a unit in your hand by 2. So straight up, one of the things I just like about this card is that it's just pretty good, right? Its hand buff is generally very, very good. It's carryover. It makes a lot of cards in scoia'tael better, even though now this doesn't say random unit, so I believe you choose. Once you activate the Death Blow, you choose the card, so that's important as well. So that makes her significantly better if I am understanding this card correctly. It also seems pretty easy to damage a unit by 2 and kill it. We haven't really seen everything Dryads can do, but if Dryads care about Harmony, then they care about cards that are already in the game that are seeing play that are pretty good, that are elves and dwarves that all do a bunch of pings. Of course, Bruver, does damage with his leader ability. Ethna does damage with her leader ability. There are probably ways to easily meet the conditions of this card, and if you meet those conditions, you do get the 8 for 8, but you did get removal and you did get carryover. Plus, you put an engine on the board. It's a fantastic card. I would be astonished if this card doesn't see play in any deck that can support Dryads or Harmony. All right, my friends, the next card we have is the Watchman, and this was the card that I had the pleasure of revealing on Twitter. The Watchman is actually a very interesting card because it is a neutral card that gives shield on order, and it comes in at 4, which is a fairly safe card. And for the same way I evaluated the Cintran Artificer in Northern Realms, which, if you remember from the last video, is also a unit that gives shield and is also a unit that can be played at 4. So in that respect, I think that this card is strictly worse for Northern Realms, unless you just want to play a ton of shields. But otherwise, you would say that this gives many factions an ability to play a card that is threatening on order, that Zeal may not even be what you want, because much like Avalok, you need to play the card that gives the protection first and then do the protecting. So I don't think I don't think lack of Zeal or an order is holding this card back, really. Think of it like a mini Avalok. Honestly, I think that this card might actually see play outside of Northern Realms. It seems in general this card is above average for a neutral, which is good, but also always concerning because we don't want neutrals to be that strong. But generally, I don't think we've seen a lot of neutrals that strong at the 5 provision point since Spears got buffed and other things like that. So really, the five provision point slot for neutrals is usually Bomb Heaver, Strays of Spala, or something else. So I think that generally you would have room for a card that could help you turn a game around by protecting that engine. This card is unassuming. That's my verdict. That's the final thing I say about this card, is that it is unassuming. But, like I said, the Watchman stands guard over cities and towns with no heroes left. Maybe this guy's born to be a hero. Let's write a story about this guy, my friends. He's a hero. He's a hero. All right, my friends, the last card we'll be reviewing today is a card that was revealed by Nod from Belarus. This is the Giant Oak. This is a huge card for scoia'tael. This card is a big deal because this is a finisher. This is a big finish card for scoia'tael. No doubt about it. It's an expensive card, but the potential of this card is quite high. It's a 13 provision point, 8 strength. I imagine Treant. It seems like Treants are going to be a thing. So if that's a primary tag, then that matters for a deck that cares about Treants or cares about multiple scoia'tael races. We've seen Harmony already look pretty decent. So we have a 13.8 provision card with the deploy effect of damage an enemy unit by the number of cards to the left of self, then boost self by the number of cards to the right of self. So while this card obviously is good because it can top out at 16 points if you play it in the middle of a full row, it's not really going to be used that way, I don't think, because I think it's probably going to be more about... The thing is, if you want to use this card for removal, you need to build a board first. So the card is better the longer the round goes, always. So much like Ockfist, much like Drog, who is actually at the same price point at 13 provisions, this card needs a board to support it and needs a board to get like the really crazy value. So the good news is I think this is a great finisher for scoia'tael, and I think that once you kind of get near the end of a late round, this card can just come down, remove a huge threat, and boost itself way up, and just be a huge swing near the end of the game. Unfortunately, because I think that role is very much also filled by Drog in Northern Realms, I think that this card will likely see about as much play as Drog, and that is not a bad thing. I have been on record saying that I think that cards that are really expensive but just have massive effects, bombs, are fine. But like Roach Merciless and Vactor, like all of these are very counterable cards. The Giant Oak is just going to be points. Like you're getting like 10 to 12 points every single time you play this card. Drog can't even say that much. And also you need to consider that 13 provisions doesn't mean as much in other factions when you are the faction that has the leader with the highest provision points, and that is Ethna. So Ethna can fit this in a little bit easier than anyone else, and that's important because this card seems pretty good. My friends, that is going to be it for the reveals. Hope you enjoyed this reveal from around the world. Content creators being able to put stuff out there. This is YouTube, my friends. If you enjoyed the video, show me, tell me. That's all I ever want to say. I never want to make this any more drawn out. Thanks for watching, my friends. I'll see you next time.